Y'all must have just ate because y'all don't sound too enthusiastic and shit. You know what I mean? I'm sitting up here trying not to go to sleep, right? But anyway, first off, I want to thank God for everything and everybody, right? And I want to thank this convention committee for the invite. But most of all, I want to thank my friend Paul, man, for giving me the invite to come, right? And I want to thank this young lady for sharing, right? If you don't believe this program is spiritual, check this shit out, right? She's from St. Louis, right? I was born in St. Louis, and she let me know that I'm not from St. Louis because I didn't stay in St. Louis, right? So, but this is, I'm going somewhere with this, right? I left St. Louis when I was 18 months old. My dad was in the military, and I've never been back, and I always wanted to go back. I don't have a bucket list, but that's one of the places I've never been, and I want to go. And I was sharing that with her, man, and I'm going back. But I'm sitting here listening to her, and I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? I'm excited, man, because, you know, she's a predecessor, right? Even though I don't know her personally, but I know her. And I'm listening to her, man, I'm like, wow, you know, our stories are so much alike. You know, our clean date is July 3rd, 1991. And, yeah, let me tell you something, man. We talking about surrender, right? We're talking about surrender. When I came into Narcotics Anonymous, right? When I came in Narcotics Anonymous, I was a zero. I don't know if you can identify with that. I was a zero. I went from being all-state basketball player in the state of New Jersey, played basketball for United States Navy all over the world, right, to a sheetrock, rice, and soap smoker. Huh?
All right now.
Listen, I'm talking about I came in here a zero. I can brag about the drug-a-log when I was hustling and all that stuff. But at the end, I was reduced not to animalistic level of living, no level of living. Animals live better than me. How do I know? The last time my mom fed me when I was using was out the back door. And the dog, she had a dog that had a dog house. Was better than the dog house was. I'm sleeping with the damn dog. At the end, came in here a zero. And y'all told me, y'all said, check this out. We ain't gonna promise you the car, the house, the women, the men, whatever your flavor is, we ain't promise you none of that. What we gonna promise you is freedom from active addiction. And y'all have kept y'all promise. Right? I was riding here this morning, right? I'm from the greater Camden area of New Jersey, right? And my home group was the welcome back home group, and giving back was so freely given to us, a tradition and concept meeting. And you know, I was riding here, man, and I started like getting real emotional. Because I'm not that addict, man, that rehearse and all that kind of stuff. I'm not that dude. I don't send in CDs and none of that. You know what I mean? I just come. When you ask me to come, I come and I bring what I got. Because I believe that if you ain't got it, you just ain't got it. Right? So I was riding here and I started getting emotional because I started thinking about the sponsors that I've had since I've been here. And I've had 3. The very first one, his name was Theron W, man. He's from Camden, man. He taught me how to, he taught me about service and traditions and step work, you know. And then with 2 years clean, I had 2 years clean, he decided to go to the ministry. And he said, I want y'all to come with us. I said, I can't do it. He said, why not? I said, because you taught me not to. He says, I said, spiritual principles are never in conflict, but I love over here in Narcotics Anonymous. And he went on to his ministry. My second sponsor, his name was Timothy Kelly, a.k.a. Mubashir, from Atlantic City, New Jersey. And I stayed with him for 10 years, man. And he passed away. He had HIV. He passed away. Theron passed away. And then next week it'll be a year that my sponsor for over 20 years passed away from a heart attack. We talking about not just surrender, but I'm talking about a deep level of surrender, right? So my sponsor that just passed away a year ago, be next week, his name was Jimmy G. And all 3 of my sponsors, man, they was very instrumental in the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Very instrumental in Narcotics Anonymous as we know it. For those who've been around for a while, you know who I'm talking about, right? So they was very instrumental. And I was riding here and I was thinking like, you know, I don't know about nobody else, but I was thinking like, not that what I was going to share, but you can't help but think about what you want to say. And then you get here and none of that shit comes out, right? None of it comes out. So I was like just thinking about how they poured into me and how I need to pour into y'all. Right? And I didn't know what the topic was. I was like, okay, whatever it is. And then they told me surrender. And I was like, that's exactly what I need to share about, man. Because let me tell you something. I was riding here right by myself, and I roll by myself now. I don't need an entourage. I don't need to tell my sponsees. I don't do none of that. They get mad at me when I don't tell them. And it's okay. Because I done been through the drama. Travel. You ever hang out with people and they just bring drama? You know what I mean? And I'm at that stage now. I'm 67 years old. And I am not beat for drama. For real. Right? So I was riding here and I was just thinking, man, like how blessed and grateful I am. Just to still be here. Like to still be enthusiastic about Narcotics Anonymous, to still want to do step work, to still want to help people, to still believe that, like, you know, like that an addict, any addict, can stop using drugs, lose his desire to use and find a new way to live. You know, and I was riding and I was like, man, I didn't even come on my music. I just talked to myself the whole time.
Okay.
I don't know about nobody. I like talking to myself. And then I answer myself. I'm afraid of people who talk to themselves and don't answer. I answer. I'll be talking and answer. I'll be just having a serious conversation. Our literature talks about we were critically ill. Yeah. We were critically ill. So don't sit up here and look at me and think I'm crazy for talking about damn stuff. Your ass is crazy too. You just gotta admit that shit, right? Yeah. So you know, I get here, right, and I haven't been in Ocean City in like 8 years, right? But I'm so grateful to be here. As soon as I walked in, man. And I see my man Paul, right? You know, it's something about when you're on this journey, man, and you meet people. Because I've met thousands of people, but I just don't fuck with everybody. I just don't. You know what I mean? I'll be in service with you. I'll be in a home group with you. But when we leave, I got a choice. And some people I just choose not to be around. Well, that's just for me. But you know, like Paul, you know, when I seen him, he gave me that hug. I was like, yeah, I'm right here. I'm right where I'm supposed to be, man, because let me tell you, I'm talking about going through a deeper level of surrender. I'm talking about understanding that, like, you know, like the young lady was saying, life shows up. It shows up. You know what I'm saying? Like a year ago, man, one of my babies was murdered, man. One of my sons, man, he was murdered, man. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm still in grieving, man. I'm talking about, like, listen, I haven't used in almost 33 years. I haven't resorted back to old behaviors of fighting and all that stuff in a long time. But I got family members too that's in the life. My children, a few of my children are. So when my son got murdered, man, first thing I thought about, I wasn't thinking about using. I called my nephews. I said, listen, we going down to Tennessee and we gonna rock that whole fucking country ass town. No disrespect, country girl.
I hear you.
But we gonna rock that joint. And I was ready. I'm talking about, I was ready to do, listen, I'm talking about since I've been here, I've accumulated some stuff because y'all told me, listen, if you ain't smoking sheetrock, rice, and soap, you ain't got to act like it, look like it, or be like it. Right? So I done got some stuff. I got like 8 letters behind my last name, right? I got a decent credit score. I got a house, a car, and all that good stuff, right? But I know if I put one in me, and I ain't just talking about a drug. If I put my hands on somebody, I can lose every damn thing.
Yes, sir. Yes,
listen,
sir.
I've been clean longer than I used.
Yep.
I've done more clean when I did shit when I was clean than I didn't even do when I was using.
Yeah.
I ain't never tricked until I got clean because I heard y'all talking about that shit. And I had a girlfriend. That shit just sounded so fucking good. And then I got caught up in it. My first 8 years.
Yeah.
Caught up. Tricking. With a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right? So when my son got murdered, man, I told my nephews and my sons, we're going to go down there and handle this business. I come home and I get on Zoom, and a young lady from Philadelphia, she was sharing that she had just lost both her sons 3 days apart to murder. And she said, I can't do anything about it because the rippling effects would affect everybody. Yeah. And when she said that, I was like, damn. Listen, I got 8 boys and 2 girls, all adults. And some people say, you did a whole lot of fucking. I said, my first 3 kids, I don't even remember fucking. I was in a blackout.
Yeah.
But I got 8 boys and 2 girls. I got 21 grandkids, 17 granddaughters, 2 great-grands.
Okay.
And I said, man, if I go do what I want to do, man, it's that rippling effect gonna affect everybody. Because I went from a 0 to the head of my family.
Yeah.
I went from being the talked about person that was told he was nothing, never going to be nothing, to the head of the family.
Yep.
Can you identify?
Yes, sir.
I didn't want to be the head of the family. But because of y'all told me, just hold on, man. You're going to be all right. We talking about surrender on a deeper level. So I had to surrender to the murder of my son. I had to leave it into the police hand and all that and whatever. We surrendered. A month to the day that my son was murdered, my sponsor passed away from a heart attack. We had just did step work in the morning. He passed away that afternoon. We're talking about a deep level of surrender, y'all. You know, and 2 days later, I had a new sponsor. One of my sponsee brothers, man. I believe that no matter how long I've been clean, I still am work in progress.
Yep.
Still a work in progress. I don't have no problem with coming here and being transparent. I don't have no problem with telling y'all the exact nature. I'm talking about, I don't have no reason to be hiding behind the facade, I didn't come to Ocean City, right, to fuck nobody. I didn't come here to be in competition with nobody. I didn't come here for none of that, showing off the suits and all that. I came here because my spirit continuously needs to be fed.
That's it.
For real. So I was I'm going all the way. I'm up in my head. I'm sitting there eating that food that I normally don't eat because I'm a smoothie dude now. But I realized something when I put on this, talking about a deeper level of surrender. I put on this suit here that I got on, and I realized that it's kind of tight. So I don't know about nobody else, but it's something about sometimes you can look yourself in the mirror and be okay with what you see. And then sometimes you can look in the mirror and reality hit your ass. I said, damn. So when I put this on, because I had a choice. I was going to wear a suit, which I know I just had it on, so I know that fits pretty good. But I wanted to be comfortable, real comfortable, right? So I put this on and I said, you know what? A deeper level of surrender is, I don't care what nobody else think, I'm going to wear it, right? And I'm here, right? I'm happy. You know what I mean? Because it took a lot of time and a lot of work to be comfortable in my own skin. Huh? Yes. Look. Talking about when I first got here, the main topic always was loving you and losing me. Today I'm loving me. Right? And I'm going to go somewhere with this. Put your big ears on. 3 years ago, I was in the hospital. Right? Matter of fact, I was sitting in my living room on Zoom, and I started getting cramps in my stomach. And I said to myself, I got a lawsuit because I just ate 2 Big Macs, so I'm thinking I got food poisoning, right? And I ain't never had a lawsuit, but I heard y'all talk about y'all had lawsuits. So I said, this is my time. So I called my son up. I said, yo, son, come get me. He said, what's wrong, Dad? I said, I got a lawsuit. He said, what, you got a lawsuit? I got a lawsuit. What happened? I said, I ate 2 Big Macs, I got food poisoning. Now, this is the middle of the pandemic. So he comes in and he looks at me. He just shook his head. I said, what's wrong? He said, man, you don't look good. I said, I know I got a lawsuit. So he takes me to the hospital, the VA. I'm a veteran, right? So he takes me to the VA. And like I said, this is the middle of the pandemic. And if you ever went to the hospital during the pandemic, no visitors. No. You in there by yourself, right? So me and my son sitting there, they took my blood, they did all this, and they left. Me and him was talking. I said, yeah, man, I know I'm gonna get about 80,000. I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm gonna give you 5, and I'm gonna give everybody else 3, right? So when I said that, the doctors came back, and I looked at my son. I said, damn, they look like their facial expression. They look like somebody's dying. So they came over and said, Mr. Wilson, if we don't get you in the ICU tonight, you're going to die. I said, excuse me? I said, hold up. I got a lawsuit. I just got some food poisoning. They said, no, you have a blood infection that's running throughout your whole body, and if we don't get you in the ICU tonight, you're going to die. I said, oh, shit. I said, what? No, sir. My son, I looked at my son. He was crying. I ain't never seen this kid cry since he was a baby. So I knew that shit was serious. So they wheeled my ass in the ICU. I'm in ICU, right? And I'm sitting there, and I'm 6'3", 275 pounds. And when you put on them hospital gowns, that shit is not funny for a motherfucker 6'3", right? That shit was up to here, right? Then I gotta hold the back, and I'm walking like this, I'm walking like this and shit. You know what I mean? And I'm in there thinking I'm dying. This Jamaican lady, no disrespect if you're Jamaican, but she came in and she said, Mr. Wilson. I said, yes. She said, you've been here a couple days and you haven't shaved. She said, you don't look good. She said, you're probably a handsome man, but you don't look good right now. And I'm laying in the bed and she's saying that shit. I'm saying to myself, I'm a professional. That shit is unethical what she just said. I want to see her fucking boss. I ain't tell her that. So I said, wait a minute. She left and I hobbled my ass on into the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I looked like a fucking cheetah pet, right? Because I hadn't shaved, right? And I said, damn, I ain't seen that look since the last time I used. So I started shaving, right? I started shaving, and in the hospital they gave them cheap-ass razors. Yeah. So I'm nicking my head up, right? And I'm taking little pieces of toilet paper, and each nick, I'm putting little pieces of toilet paper on my head, right? Because I'm thinking to myself, now I'm really fucking thinking, because she said I was handsome, so I done watched plenty porn, so I know there's some kinky nurses and shit, so if she come back, she might want to give me some, so I gotta look good and shit. I got my little hospital gown on, and I rolled up in that motherfucker, and I'm saying to myself, when she come back, I hope George act right and come out, because I'm hoping, that's my shit called George. So I said, George, please act right when she come back in here. She came back. George said, nope, I ain't coming out. So I said, oh shit. So she said, don't you feel better? I said, yeah. And I get back in the bed, and my sponsor calls me. He said, I need you to get on Zoom. I said, I can't. He said, get on Zoom. I said, I can't. He said, why? I said, because I can't pray. He said, don't worry about it. We're going to pray for you. So I get on Zoom. And for those who like older, my generation, or maybe a little younger, you remember Brady Bunch?
Yeah.
They set us up for this Zoom shit. Hi, Martha. Hey, Peter. Hi, Jane. Hey, Tom. You know what I mean? The little squares and shit. So I'm on there and everybody praying. They start praying for me. And I'm telling y'all, man, I was told I was dying. But after that, my spirit, something happened. My spirit just started waking up. The doctor came in. He said, excuse me, who are you? I said, I'm Rudolph Wilson. He said, well, I need you to get on this phone because we got it hooked up downstairs. He said, it's a bunch of people downstairs. They ain't not going to leave until they make sure you're okay.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
So I'm down there. I get on the phone. Now, mind y'all, I know I'm dying. So I say, yo, y'all, I'm okay. The nurse comes in. She said, I ain't never seen nothing like it before. Who was those people? I said, that was my family. She said, damn, you got a big family. I said, we worldwide. She said, you worldwide? I said, yeah, Narcotics Anonymous. She left and she came back. She said, I know you're not in good condition, but could you do me a favor? I said, what's that? Could you call my son because he's actively using? Can you say something to him? I said, yeah, I could do that. And you know, when you're in the hospital, it's this one nurse, they come in and take your blood all the fucking time. I call this woman a vampire. Because she would come in with this hard-looking face, looking all mean and shit, and she would stab me, boom, boom, bang, pop, in my ass, in my neck, and she would just be mean with it. And I'm saying to myself, she must think she ain't got no man or woman, but she come in this motherfucker, every day she looking mean and shit. On the 15th day, she comes in, and she's smiling. I said, oh shit, she got some last night, right? She's smiling. She said, Mr. Wilson, we got some good news. We talking about a deeper level of surrender. Put your big ears on with this. So I said, what? She said, they can't figure out how come your blood, how come you're not dead? 2, your blood is clean right now. I said, what? She said, but there's one problem. It went into your prostate. I said, prostate? What the hell is a prostate? Now I thought about it. I said, wait a minute, I heard about prostate, but she explained what the prostate, that's the gland for a man where the sperm comes in, helps with the erection. So she said, you need to talk to the doctor. I said, okay, I can go home. She said, yes. Doctor said, listen, we might have to have prostate surgery, and if we take your prostate, you'll never get an erection or have an orgasm again. And I said to him, I said, shit, I got 10 kids. I don't give a damn if I ever have sex again, ever again. I said, long as I'm alive, I'm good. I said, matter of fact, Doc, you said something was wrong with hair down. You ain't mentioned about the bobblehead, motherfucker. This motherfucker is international and shit. So, and on top of that, Doc, I got a little black bag at home. And in that black bag, I got an Indian outfit, a doctor's outfit, a nurse outfit. I got a bullet. I got a strap on. I got a dildo. I got everything in that black bag. The doctor was like, oh shit. So I left the hospital, put the big ears on, deeper level of surrender. The doctor said you got 40% chance. If we have this surgery, you're not going to have an erection, you're not going to have an orgasm. At the time I said, okay, I'm good. Because, I just want to live. But as I started healing, I started thinking like, wait a minute. Who's going to want a man that can't have an orgasm or get an erection? So I started talking on the Zoom. I started asking people. Like, I didn't hear no men talking about this, y'all. None. I ain't hear no men talking about it. I thought I was all alone. But it was the women in my network who came to my rescue. They said, my one sponsee, she said, Spons, in the literature it says, there's no different than a little old lady hitting different doctors for prescription drugs and a junkie snatching pocketbooks, right? I said, yeah. She said, well, it ain't no different than a man who can't get it up and a woman going through menopause. I said, what? Menopause? I said, the only thing I know about menopause is they talking about hat flashes and shit. She said, no, that shit go deeper than that. Yep. So I said, oh, shit. So I did the research. And I started talking about it. And the women in my network started telling me certain things. And they said, man, thank you for sharing, Rudy, because now I know maybe what my husband or my boyfriend might be going through. And I said, thank y'all for sharing, because now guess what y'all done made me do? I want me a young girl. I know y'all thinking 20, 30, 40 years old. No. I want me a 50-year-old, because I'm 67. If I get a 50-year-old, I'm still old enough to be her dad, but she a young girl to me. And on top of that, if she's going through menopause, when she's hot, I'm cold. When I'm cold, she's hot. When she can't get wet, I can't get up. We just watch a fucking movie and call it a night, right? So I said to myself, man, you know what? If I can just get through this, if I can just get through this, talking about a deeper level of surrender, right? So 8 months go by. I had the surgery, 8 months go by. I'm in the shower minding my own business. All of a sudden, I felt the heat. Now, I would love to say, I looked down and there it was. But I had gained a couple pounds in the stomach area, so I had to go like this. And there he was. He was there. I said, oh, shit. I jumped out the shower, called my sponsor. I said, yo, Spons, George is back. He said, George, did he relapse? I said, oh, shit. Check it out. So from that day forth, I've been talking about this because when I was going through that, a lot of men wasn't talking about it. And I said, God, whatever you need me to do, man, whatever topic they give me, I don't care what they give me, I'm going to talk on this subject. Because there's a lot of us that's dying in silence. Yes. There's a lot of men right now that's going through this, man, that they think that they're judged and they're determined their manhood by their penis size or their penis production. What I learned from going through what I had to go through, I learned how that rubbing feet. I never knew that you could rub somebody's feet and have an orgasm, mental orgasm. And they could have a physical one, especially if you do it right. You know what I mean? Then I found out that just scratching somebody's scalp, I found out that just sitting there and listening to somebody hearing their heartbeat. I'm talking about intimacy on a deeper level, man. I'm talking about some mature shit. I ain't talking about no little boyfriend, girlfriend shit. I'm talking about some grown-up shit. Right? I'm talking about understanding that, like, just because I'm getting older, that doesn't mean I'm old. Right? I found out that just because I'm getting older and I got a senior citizen fucking goddamn, I'm a proud senior citizen. I love the fact that I get 20% off. I don't fuck with nobody that ain't got a 20% off card. You know what I mean? So when we go out, you got 20, I got 20, that's 40% off the $100. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I ain't fucking with you. I don't give a fuck. I don't care how much money you make a year. I don't care what the fuck you got driving. If you ain't got 20%.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You ain't got 20%, right? So, check this out. In closing, what I found out, man, is that intimacy on a deeper level, man. See, one of my sponsees, she said to me, Spons, what you bring to the table is so valuable that any woman in her right mind or wrong mind would not want to be with a man like you, even if it's just to be a friend. I've been asking it for the last 2 years, and I ain't bragging. I ain't saying that shit because I want to get some. I'm saying that shit because it's a choice. It's not, when you play spades, they say, what you got? What you got, Andrea? You say, I got 2 in the possible. Well, I got a couple possibles. But I choose not to act out on the possibles because I know what I bring, right? And I know from going through what I've been going through, my self-worth is to the point where I don't want to harm nobody, and I definitely don't want to be harmed. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I understand today that, like, you know what, for real, I be at home and I'm lonely and all that kind of shit. I go through that shit back and forth shit. But at the end of the night, one thing I do, I get on my phone and I look at some fucking porn.
Okay.
No, seriously. Y'all might, I don't know what the fuck you do. I don't drink energy drinks. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't do none of that shit. That shit has kept me from going to them possibles.
Okay.
That shit keeps me from going to them possibles. Put me in a state of humility where, you know what, I'm in a position so when the shit do come to me, I'll be able to recognize it. I won't be loving you and losing me. I won't accept the unacceptable. I'll be able to articulate what I need and what I want. And also be able to articulate to the fact what you need and what you want. I tell you about the porn only because this program has taught me to be transparent. I can't come up here in front like, you know, yeah, I'm abstinent, but I ain't doing shit. I hear people talking about, I'm abstinent. I'm waiting to hear some other shit. Like, what the fuck you doing? You ain't doing nothing? Nothing? Fuck out of here. Basketball players play basketball. Hockey players play hockey. Addict shoes. That's a real tip. So, if that's not your story, it's okay. It's mine. They asked me to come share on surrender. You know what I mean? And the fact of the matter is, y'all, that like when I came here, I said I was a 0. Now I'm a hero to my grandchildren, right? I used to be a dad and a father to my children, but now my name is Cash App.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, I have all my children are adults. I got one living home with me. He's a squatter. He refuses to leave. And he told me he wasn't leaving. So we're talking about a deeper level of surrender. Me and him got into a big argument. I said, get out! He said, I ain't going. I said, yes, the hell you are. You getting out of my house. He still stood there. He said, I ain't going. So I went and called my sponsor. I said, Spons, this nigga won't leave. I'm gonna beat him up. He said, Rudy, the last time you went to jail, you had 18 months clean. He said, in New Jersey, if someone stays in your house past 30 days and gets mail to your house, you gotta take them to court to get them out. I said, what? Oh, shit. So he's a squatter.
Prominent.
Talking about a deeper level of surrender, but guess what? I love him. I love him to death, man. So I made a decision. He ain't got to move. My credit score is nice. I'm gonna move.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna move. And I'm gonna make sure that house is in order when I leave. Because I want my fucking deposit back. Fuck him. He gonna be squatting. Let them handle that shit. Once again, don't let nothing or no one tell you that you're nothing, you're never going to be nothing. Because that's what they told me. They said you're nothing, you're never going to be nothing. Y'all told me the sky is the limit. I've turned, listen, I got all that outside stuff, man, but most of all, the most important thing to me, besides my clean time, is when I walk out my door and I see the young boys now, they call me Mr. Rudy. That means a lot to me. Mr. Rudy. Thanks for allowing me to share. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good.
Thank you.